My 13-year-old missing daughter was found in my father-in-law's basement. The officer's voice on the phone was calm, too calm. "We found her," he said. For 2 weeks my world had been hollow. My daughter's shoes had been left at the park, her backpack dumped behind a dumpster. Every night I had gone to sleep with one thought circling in my skull: she was gone, stolen, dead. But now she wasn't. The house they told me about wasn't abandoned. It wasn't a motel. It wasn't a stranger's shed on the outskirts of town. It was my father-in-law's basement. I didn't remember driving there. I didn't remember stepping past the officers, nodding when they told me she was physically stable. I only remember the moment the basement door creaked open. The stale air, the concrete floor, and her, my daughter, sitting on an old mattress. Pale, thin, hands trembling. When she saw me, her lips parted, and her voice came out small. "Daddy, I'm pregnant." The air snapped out of my lungs. "That's impossible, honey. You're just—" But then I saw it. The way her eyes darted, not toward me, but toward the shadow standing at the far end of the basement. And in that shadow was him, my wife's father, watching, breathing, smiling. I should have screamed. I should have lunged across the room, torn his throat out with my bare hands. But I didn't. My body froze. My mind locked itself in silence, replaying every dinner, every holiday, every time he'd put a hand on her shoulder and laughed too warmly. I remembered my wife brushing it off. "He's just affectionate," she said, "old-fashioned." And I believed her. Because the alternative was unthinkable. But now, with my daughter's words echoing like a death sentence in my head, I realized something brutal. The signs weren't new. They were old, etched into years of carefully masked glances, subtle withdrawals, and the kind of secrets that live in plain sight. When she leaned into me, I hugged her, but my arms felt like iron. She whispered again, "I'm sorry, sorry." The word hit harder than the revelation itself. She thought she was the one who needed forgiveness, and I, her father, had been blind. That blindness burned hotter than rage, because it wasn't just her innocence that had been stolen, it was mine too. The innocence of believing I had protected her. The police swarmed the house, but they didn't know what I knew, not yet. They saw a frightened child, a complicated case. They whispered words like investigation and due process. But I wasn't listening to them. I was listening to the silence inside me. I stayed quiet, calm, too calm. In the days that followed, I played my role, the grieving, relieved father. I thanked officers, I nodded at social workers. I even held my wife when she cried into my chest, her sobs reeking of guilt she hadn't yet voiced. But underneath, I moved differently. Every word, every step calculated. I gathered what they overlooked: my daughter's medical report, blood samples, quietly requested a DNA test, against protocol, but money makes men bend. I searched through my wife's phone when she slept, found late-night messages from her father, too vague to mean anything, too familiar to mean nothing. "You did the right thing. She'll understand in time. Trust me." Each word tightened the rope around my throat. I didn't confront her, not yet. Confrontation is messy, explosive. It gives the guilty a chance to fight back, to twist truth into smoke. I wanted silence, the kind that suffocates. So I waited. The results arrived in a plain envelope, white, harmless, deadly. I opened it at my desk, hands steady, breath shallow. Positive. The father of my daughter's unborn child was my father-in-law. There it was, black ink on white paper, the end of every doubt. That night I sat across from my wife at the dinner table. The house was quiet, my daughter asleep upstairs. I slid the envelope across to her. She frowned, opened it, read. Her hand trembled. Her face drained of color. "No," she whispered. "No, this isn't—" I said nothing. She shook her head, tears spilling. "It's wrong. It has to be wrong." Still, I said nothing. The silence between us stretched, thick, suffocating. And in that silence, she broke. She wasn't shocked. She was guilty. Her voice cracked. I thought it would—" Her words collapsed into sobs. I sat still, cold, detached. Because now I knew she had known. The next morning, I invited him to the house, my father-in-law. He came without hesitation. Arrogant men always do. We sat in the living room, the same place where birthdays were celebrated, where family photos hung. I placed the envelope on the coffee table between us. He glanced at it, smirked. "You think you're clever," he said, voice low. I leaned forward, my voice steady. "I don't think. I know." His smirk faltered. I didn't yell. I didn't strike him. Violence would have given him something to hide behind. Anger, excuses, weakness. Instead, I stood, opened the door, and stepped aside. 2 detectives entered, silent, grim. His face collapsed. The smirk vanished, replaced by something I had waited weeks to see: fear. They cuffed him, read him his rights. He tried to meet my eyes, to find a crack, a reaction, a plea for mercy. But I had none left. That night, I stood in my daughter's doorway, watching her sleep. Her chest rose and fell, fragile, broken, but alive. I didn't feel relief. Relief is for men who still believe the world is fair. I felt clarity. The kind of clarity that burns away illusions. The kind that leaves scars you don't show but never forget. My wife left soon after. She couldn't face the silence I carried. Silence heavier than rage. Good. Let her drown in her own echoes. As for me, I no longer pray for peace. I don't need it. I have the truth. And the truth is enough. Some men beg for forgiveness. Some beg for mercy. But when he looked at me one last time, I gave him neither. I gave him silence. And it destroyed him more than any scream ever could.